Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with a blog to watch. Today I'm review the Timex Giorgio Galli S2 Ti, a lot of words, and this is the last of Giorgio Galli's S series of watches. Who's Giorgio Galli? He's the head of design over at Timex. He's Italian. He makes beautiful objects, and in addition to a lot of the Timex watches, he does a lot of designs for the brands that the group produces. You have your Ferragamos and Versace's and things like that. So he's a very good designer, and the Giorgio Galli series was the first watches that he designed ever that had his name on it. And a few years ago, Blog to Watch debuted the first one, and it was the first S1. It was the Timex Giorgio Galli S1, and you can go back and see a review of that. There was a small number of versions of the S1. Then the S2 came out, which was a smaller watch. I think the first one's about 41. Then it went down to 38. And then there was a new dial design, which I believe originally debuted in a steel case. And now the S series in its entirety ends with the S2 titanium. So you have the 38 millimeter wide case size, which is lovely, in titanium, with a carbon middle case, a matching titanium bracelet, some cool things about that. This is the first of the Galli watches to use a Swiss-made movement. It has the Sellita caliber SW200 automatic in there, which you can see through the case back. And honestly, this is a really nicely done watch. I'm not even someone who typically wears watches that are 38 millimeters, and I have no qualms whatsoever about wearing this. And one of the things that Giorgio understands is how to use the space of a watch well. And this watch looks bigger than it is because it has a sapphire crystal which literally sits on top. There's really no bezel to speak of. That's why it doesn't feel like it's 38 millimeters, because the dial itself is what's known as maximalized. It uses as much of the case as possible. There's a lot of indenting, and that was always been the case with the Galli series. In fact, one of the reasons the series came about is there was some new manufacturing technology that Timex was exploring, and they said, well, we can't do it in our inexpensive watches to test it out. Let's try it here. And so they started using certain types of injection molding systems for metal, which allowed them to have such a sophisticated shape, but with a relatively low price, because otherwise these would have to be milled each case individually, lots of time, more effort. That just pushes the price point up. And that indentation theme, of course, continues here. The middle of the case is black, and that carbon material, which also creates a thinner look. The case is only 12 millimeters thick, but it creates an even thinner look. And in the bracelet, there's even little indentation there. Yeah, it might get dirty in there, but it actually looks pretty cool. The dial is minimalist. It's very clean face. I hope you like the color gray. And there is a ring around the dial there that has hour markers. I just think that this dial is very pretty. First and foremost, again, it is an attractive dial. It is legible, given the fact that the hands pop out and you can see those hour markers on that ring pretty well. But it's really and in the article I said this, it's really a masterwork of using materials and reflectivity and space well. A lot of trial and error and skill and sophistication of designing watches for many years had to go in to understand how to use these proportions and these polishes and these textures and these materials to create a nice looking watch that's somewhere between vintage style and modern and contemporary and just feels really good. The bracelet is on quick release spring ends, so you can replace it, but I don't know why you would. One of the cool things about this bracelet is that it requires no tools to size, and what you do is you actually pull off one of the ends of the links here and you pivot it, and it allows you to slip it off and then put it back on. It's a cool system. I don't know that every watch should have it, but it is something that I think works really well here, and even just the deployant clasp here just has a cool design for it. So nicely designed, Swiss movement, all titanium construction. Nothing else out there looks quite like this. Limited to 500 pieces. I think it's really exciting from a watch perspective. What are some of the downsides? Well, not everyone is accustomed to spending this much for a Timex. I understand that, though it certainly invites a lot of questions, and it's a good conversation piece, though it's under the radar, which is a good thing. Also, titanium is a material that's fragile and will scratch, and so it will have marks and things like that naturally. And again, at $1,950, which is the price point, it's actually 4 times as expensive as the original Giorgio Galli S1. Again, different watch, different materials, but the price point has gone up. What is Giorgio going to do next at Timex? Is he going to continue with these watches with something else? I don't know. I don't think this is the end, because these are qualitatively really good watches. The retail price for the Giorgio Galli S2 Ti in full titanium is $1,950. Again, limited to 500 pieces, and you can see the full review on a blog to watch. Thanks.